All right, what we want to do here is another little coding challenge. So this one's going to be based on the reduce array method that we've been talking about. So I have here a class called student and a little constructor method inside with basically the full name. That's pretty obvious. The level, which would be your class level. So are you a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, or a senior? And then your test, this is going to be an array. So this could be the test that you've taken for a quarter, a semester, or the year, whatever it is, okay? So we use the this keyword inside to set everything. And then basically the problem here is that we have this get summary method, but we're not going to have all the information we need to really make this work. We have the full name and we have the level, but we don't have something called past, and we don't have something called average, and also something called letterGrade, okay? So what we're going to be doing here is making another little method to where we can add properties into our object, and then this guy is going to work, okay? So if we come down here, you'll see I have 8 instances set up of the student object. So basically we're going to have students 1 through 8. And then basically I've stored them inside of this array, okay, called my class, so we can use it really easily. So let me just go ahead and console.log this. Let's pop open the terminal and let's go ahead and run this real quick. So if we go back up to the top, you'll see that each instance here, so the first one, the full name is Michael Fisher, the person's a junior, and then here's the test, right? Second one, it's Sean Payne, he's a senior, here's the test, so on and so forth. So let me close this real quick, and let's go back up and I'll read the instructions to you. I think they'll make more sense than that we've kind of read through everything. So you want to write a method to find each student's average score. Okay, so you can do this with the reduce array method and basically find the sum of all the elements in the array, divide by the number of test scores or the number of numbers, the number of elements, however you want to think about that. And then basically you also want to figure out if they've passed or failed in their letter grade, okay? And I'll give you the rules for that here below. But basically you want to store these values in the object using the property names. You're going to do average, passed, and then letter grade. And this is so it works with that get summary method that you wrote, okay? So we have a student will pass if they have a 70 or higher. The letter grades are on a 10-point scale, so that's pretty typical. So 90 or above is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, and 59 or below is an F, okay? I have here use math.round to avoid the nasty decimals. I'm going to do it first, and then I'll come back and show you how to do that. But basically, you just want to put whatever you want to round inside those parentheses, and it'll take care of it for you, okay? So the last task, you want to find the highest average score and also the lowest average score for the class. Just put it into a variable, call it whatever you want. Call it maybe highest average score, or whatever you want. It doesn't matter, okay? So go ahead and pause the video, give this an honest try on your own, and I'll be here in a moment for the solution. All right, so hopefully that went well. So let me come over here, okay? And I'm just going to put this in here like this. I'm going to call this get grades, okay? And so basically this is going to be a method that's going to calculate what we need, right? So we're going to need the average, we're going to need the letter grade, and whether or not the person is passed or not. Now, since everything is based on this average, let's start off with this. So I'm going to go this.average is going to be equal to, I'm going to start off with the test scores array for each person. So I'm going to say this.tests, okay? And then basically, since this is an array, I have access to the reduce method. So I'm going to go dot reduce, so dot reduce. And inside of here, again, you can use an arrow function, you can use an anonymous function, whatever you want to do, okay? So I'm just going to use an arrow function. I'm going to stick with the ACC for the accumulator and the CUR for the current. Again, you can call this stuff whatever you want. Because this is going to be on one line, I do not need a return keyword. So basically what I'm going to do here is just add ACC plus CUR. Again, removing the return keyword because this is on one line is an arrow function, okay? Now, because this guy right here is going to give me the sum of all the elements in the array, if I want the average, I want to divide by the number of test scores, okay? So remember, test is an array, so I can go this.tests, and then you can go .length, okay, to access that property. And so basically at this point now, we're going to have the person's average score. Here's where you can wrap this inside of some parentheses, okay, once you figured this out. And you can use the math with a capital M, okay, .round to avoid any nasty decimals, okay? So now we have the average, okay, set on the person's object, right? So we'll have a property with a name of average and a value of whatever the average is. So now what I can do is I can reference this average all over the place, okay? And so what I'm going to do is actually just say const r. Okay, I'm just going to use a simple lowercase letter because I'm going to constantly say this.average all over the place. So I'm just going to make that a little bit shorter. And again, you don't have to do this. You can keep typing this.average as much as you want. It works the same, okay? So I'm going to say the next thing is this.passed. So I'm going to say this.passed is basically equal to, we're going to look at the this.average, so I'm going to use R for that. I'm going to say, is this greater than or equal to, let me come up here and I forgot what it was. I think it was 70. So if we come up here, it was the person will pass if they have a 70 or higher. So let's go back down. So if it's greater than or equal to 70, okay, then basically we just want to put that the person has passed, okay? Otherwise, we want to put that they have failed. So failed, let me make sure I spell that correctly. And that's basically it, okay? The other thing we need to do is just get the person's letter grade. So we're going to go this dot letter grade. Again, you can use an if statement for this if you want. What I'm going to do here is just use the conditional operator. So again, instead of using this dot average, I'm just going to use R. I'm going to ask if it's greater than or equal to 90, okay? If it is, then I'm going to put an A. If it's not, I'm going to repeat this. So R is greater than or equal to 80. So I'm going to say if it is, then I want a B now. And then if it's not, then I'm going to say R is greater than or equal to, let's say 70. If it is, then I want to put a C. If it's not, then I want to put R is greater than or equal to, let's go 60. If it is, then I want to put a D. And then otherwise, I want to put an F because you failed. And I put an F outside of quotes. Okay, so let's think about how we can get everything to fully work. Remember, in order to get summary to work, I need to first call the get grades for each person, okay? Because of the way we've set this up, it's inside of an array, okay? So I can use a for loop or a forEach method to go through and call the get grades on everybody, so then the get summary would work, okay? So what I'm gonna do is set up a little forEach method. So let's go ahead and say my class dot forEach, okay? Because we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in here, I'm not going to use an arrow function. I'm going to use an anonymous function. I think it'll be a little bit easier. Basically what I'm going to do, let's call each one of these maybe student. So student like this, you can call it element, you can call it whatever you want. And basically what I'm going to say here is I'm going to go student, okay? That's going to be the current guy. I'm going to say dot get grades, okay? I'll put get summary, but I need get grades first, okay? And basically what this is going to do, let's say I call this on the student 8, for example. Well, it's going to take this guy right here and it's going to find the average. So it's going to give me that property of average that I need. It's going to also give me that property of their letter grade that I need and whether they passed or failed that I need, okay? So now when I call this guy right here, I'm going to go student.get summary, okay, like this. Then it's going to add that summary statement for me. And then finally, I can just console.log the student.summary, okay, which will be in there and basically tell me everything I need to know, okay? So let's scroll down here. We don't need this anymore, okay? Let's go ahead and pop open the terminal and let's go ahead and run this guy. And let me reduce the zoom just a little bit so maybe we can get it on one line. So you see Michael Fisher has passed the junior year of school with an average of 85 and a letter grade of B. You have Sean Payne has passed the senior year of school with an average of 71 and a letter grade of C. And I'll let you read these all on your own. Basically, I went through all of them and did exactly what we wanted, right? So if you come back, if you just wanted to maybe look at this, so let's maybe get rid of this and let's come back here and just console.log the my class guy. Once again, you'll see that all this stuff has been added in. So let me clear this out and let's go ahead and run this. And if you come down here, so now when we come, we see we have the full name, the level, the test, you have the average. Again, it's going to take this and find the average. It's going to do some rounding, so it won't be exact, but it's very close. And then this person passed because they got a B, and then there's your summary, okay? So this is set on each person. You can see this person's average is 71, he got a C. You see this person's a 92, so she in this case got an A. And then this person has a 58 average, so she failed, she got an F, right? And you can see that Vanessa Nolan has failed the sophomore year of school with an average of 58 and a letter grade of F, okay? So on and so forth for all the people. Okay, so everything is working as expected. So the last thing I want to do is find the highest average score and the lowest average score, okay? So let me start by going const, I'll go highest average, okay, like this, and we're going to set this equal to, we're going to be basically looking at this array my class, so my class, okay, and then I'm going to go dot reduce. Now, you have to be careful because again, this guy contains, this is basically an array of objects. So if you set this up as an arrow function, let's go ahead and do that to get some practice. I'm going to go ACC and then CUR, but I've got to be really, really careful here, okay? When we did this up here, if I go back up, when we did this up here, I did not specify an initial value because we're working with just numbers. You don't need to. A lot of people think that's a bad practice, but if you're working with numbers, it's not going to matter. So if you come down here, now for the initial value, some people use 0, but that doesn't work if you have a lot of negatives involved, which we don't have here, so we could use 0. But some people use null. There's lots of different solutions. What I always do, or what I'm going to do in this particular case, I'm just going to refer to my class, okay, with square brackets and 0. and then I'm going to go dot average. Okay. So basically it's going to compare this guy, okay, to itself for the first round. And some people think that's inefficient, but basically you need to compare it to everything anyway. So I'm just going to solve it this way. Okay. And it looks like this is lighting up on me because I have my curly braces here. And because I'm setting this up as an arrow function, I really want an arrow. Okay. So let me get rid of this and let me come down here. And this is all going to be on one line. So basically what I want to end up doing here is I want to compare the current dot average. So the current is each time through, that's going to be an object. So I want dot average. I want to compare that to what's already held in the accumulator. And again, the starting one is just going to be the first average. Okay. So I'm basically going to say that I'm returning the ACC. Is that greater than, I'm going to say the current dot average. Okay. If it is, I want to return the ACC, right? So the accumulator. Right? Because basically at this point it's greater, so I want to return that. If it's not, then I want to return the current dot average. So each time through, basically it's going to look at this guy and it's going to say, hey, is this one bigger than this one? If it is, then keep that one. If it's not, then take this one and store it here and then start the process over. Okay. So let's go ahead and console.log the highest, or actually we want the highest average, okay, in this particular case. Now, we won't have any way of knowing if this is correct or not, so let me come back here, and let me put this console.log. I'm going to go student.average like this, so we can see all the average scores. And let's come back down here. Let's go ahead and pop this open. And actually, let me put this in here in some backticks. So we have highest average, and then $ curly braces, the highest average. I keep putting highest score, but I meant highest average. Let's put this in like this. And then maybe let's pick this up like this. So I'll put highest average like this. Okay, so let's pop this open and let's go ahead and run this. So you see you get 85, 71, 92, 58, 75, 96, 64, and 88. And the highest average is 96, which is correct, right? That is the highest average score. Okay, let's close this. And you can keep this one if you want, or you can get rid of it. I'm basically going to just copy this, okay? And I'm going to make the lowest average. So let's paste this in here. And I'm going to put the lowest average like this. And then the only thing you really need to change here is just switch this from a greater than to a less than. Okay, it's the same thing. So now I'm just going to put the lowest average, or actually let me just copy this and paste it. And I'll put the lowest average. And let me come over here and just change this to the lowest average like this. Let's pop this back open and let's go ahead and run this. So you see that the lowest average is 58. So if we go back through here, you got 85, 71, 92, 58, 75, 96, 64, and 88. So this is working as expected.